Hi, this is my artist research presentation, A World of Imagination by me, Megan Halbert. Today, I'll be talking about myself as an artist and some of my artwork that I've been working on. So let's get started with a little bit about me. I am an art major at WSU. I have started as a freshman this year. Uh, Art became my passion from a young age thanks to my grandma because when I was younger, I had a tendency to fall asleep in church. And one day, my grandma decided it was time for me to mature and grow up. And so, what she did was she started to have teach me how to draw trees and nature scenes in the middle of church and even after church as a way to help me focus and stay awake during the church service and not fall asleep anymore like I used to all the time. And the ironic statement of it is now I actually get in trouble for drawing in church because it's deemed me not paying attention, even though it's what was used as a way to keep me focused during the sermons. One of my biggest struggles being an art major is, for me personally, is not being taken seriously. I get told quite often that I'm wasting my time as an art major and that I'm not going to achieve anything because art is just arts and crafts for children and it is not something that is worthy to get a degree in. It's I struggling that I continue with because I do not always have the full support of some of the people I wish would support me in my everyday life and decisions. And it is a fact that I have to get used to and live with and hope that one day they can see that me being an art major and going into the field of art is something that I'm serious about. And that even though I'm not always supported, just like other artists, I must keep going and keep fighting for if I don't, then I just give up on my passion. But the funny thing is, my greatest reward for being an art major is that I'm doing my passion and I feel the most like myself doing art. Every day I get to go into studios and learn more about the subjects I love and care for. I get to sit and enjoy my passion and just be myself in my creative craziness and just take the ideas from my head and put it to paper with pen and pencil or paint on a canvas and express myself in ways that I can't with words. And so even though I may not always have the best support and most respect in my major, I still get to feel like myself and true to myself and not feel a burden when I go to my classes. My goal right now is to learn as much as I can and to either be self employed in the future or taught or to be teaching. Right now, I want to finish with getting a BFA in the art department and possibly working towards an MFA also in fine arts so I can teach at multiple levels, or I can also become self employed. Or maybe I have looked at working into environmental modeling for some digital art companies or gaming programs. I haven't quite decided yet because I'm still young and right now I want to go with an open mind into my future so I'm not locked right into something. I'm kind of going with the flow and seeing where my art can take me as I grow. So, my muse, what could it possibly be? Do I find a person who is inspiration? Do I find maybe a cat that's inspiration? Like certain people find throughout history, pick someone to be their muse, their inspiration. Well, for me, I pull inspiration from my surroundings. I find it in the people around me with my photography, to the colors and nature. I'm not simply inspired by one thing, but the world itself. As an artist, I strive to create art that shows the world through my eyes. I use photography for a realistic showing of the world, as one can see through my lens, while my drawings are a world of pure imagination inspired by my surroundings. I do not usually keep one particular thing as my muse because I always find inspiration in my everyday life. I can find inspiration from the meals I've eaten to just simply someone smiling right back at me, or just a pair of shoes I might have seen walking by on the street. Inspiration strikes at any time. It's hard for me to pinpoint exactly one inspiration for my art because I'm always inspired by everyday things. I'm inspired by words, poems, actions, clothing, nature, lights, hitting the reflection off of a bathroom stall in a funny way. Literally, inspiration can strike whenever. My key for keeping the way of my muse being anything and everything is I have lots of notes, lots of things that I jot down, and random little photos I take to capture the moment so I can later on go back and use it as a reference. And I have the reference for later because sometimes inspiration strikes, but you can't always capture it in the way you want. So next, I'm going to talk about artworks that I would like to be completed. Now, these are works that I have already sketched up into a, I think, roughly medium-sized paper, and they may look a little bit finalized, but my next end goal is to take them and turn them by 20 by 24 pieces of drawings that are fully finished with more color value in them that's correct to the way they're done, and just more fine details added and just really crisp up all the edges and everything. And I also want to create some works that are along the lines of these two drawings that I'm going to show with photography incorporated into them to create a glitch-like effect between reality and my imagination. The first work of art that I'm going to work on drawing into a 20 by 24 drawing. On the left is the original drawing of the tree that I decided to draw. This is a tree with Oriental architecture in front of it, and it is in front of a lake. This drawing, I would like to fix some of the coloring and the hues because I didn't quite get them correctly. This is more considered an inverted art scale, so a negative color scheme. So when I go in with the right lighting, either with photography or with digital art, I can make it look realistic. And as you can see on the right, some of my colors aren't quite right yet, and I need to go back in and fix them. Same with my color hues, they're still hitting a little too bright in some areas. So it'd be best for me before I go back in with the big to go and fix them. The other one that I'm going to be working on now is this one. As you can tell, it is also missing some color schemes, hues. For my purple should have been more in the leaves of the tree instead of just the rocks for greenery. And maybe the green could have been a little bit more grayish green. Uh, at the time, I was just making it look more complementary without thinking too much of my inverted color scale. And I personally would like to go back and fix this one so it can be cohesive with the other one. And I can work with fun shapes and angles and create a cohesive look on some pieces of 20 by 24 inches, because I would like to continue to take these small sketches and complete them fully in a fuller scale where I can show them off much more. Why do I create art? What is the point of being an artist if I don't have a meaning and message behind my art? For me, I sum it up simply as a world of imagination. I create art to show people that using your imagination in your everyday life can still happen, that it doesn't have to stop when we are children. We can still have fun and see the world in a bright and colorful place. You can still pretend that trees are purple and blue or orange and red. You can do whatever you want as long as you put your mind to it. I use multiple forms of art to share this, from drawings to paintings to ceramics and photography. I like to show people what it could look like when you use your imagination just a little bit more and create a fun world to live in. Because I think that we stop, at one point we stop and we decide we need to grow up. And as my grandma made me grow up as to try to make me be more mature, she actually opened a world for me that is my passion. And I think a world of imagination should exist for each and one of us, because when we stop living with a little bit of imagination, I think a little bit of our inner child dies, and it's fun to keep that inner child rampant and running with a world of imagination. So, thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope you've learned something about me as an artist and that I have either inspired you to create some fun pieces and use your imagination for the better or good, or maybe you just found my artwork to be intriguing. If so, you can always message me. Have a good rest of your day, and thank you for enjoying my art talk.